We are living in challenging times. We're living through a war on truth, facts, and reason, watching as racist and white supremacist views are lifted up in the media and in the White House. But despite it all, there are signs of hope and resilience. And much of that is being led and shaped by black women, like my dear friend Maxine Waters.
Hillary Clinton is still at it. The former Democratic presidential nominee didn't mince words on her feelings about the state of Washington and President Trump when speaking in Chicago yesterday. Joining me now is former Hillary Clinton presidential campaign strategic communications director Adrienne Elrod. She's also president of Elrod Strategies, and conservative columnist Gina Loudon. Adrienne, what is your take on the fact that Hillary Clinton keeps talking?
Well, first of all, Dagan, it's important to keep in mind that she was in Chicago to receive an award, and she was also helping to raise money for a newly formed organization that helps elect African-American women to higher office. But look, you know, Hillary's more than entitled to speak her mind. She's more than earned it. And she's exactly right. I mean, we're dealing with a president who's more focused on quote-unquote fake news and actually governing. We're dealing with a president who defended white supremacists and white nationalists in the Charlottesville situation. So she's exactly right, and she's more than entitled to speak her mind.
Dr. Gina.
She's not right.
Dr. Gina,
yeah,
go ahead.
She's not
because,
right.
Again, it's too... I don't understand how Hillary Clinton, and by the way, when she was running for the nomination against Barack Obama, there were some hideously racist things said about the man who was then elected president for 2 terms. So, again, we can go, if you want to revisit history, we can do that. But I don't understand how Hillary Clinton and her word slinging helps the Democratic Party.
No, it doesn't. And actions speak louder than words, Dagan, as you know. And you look at what President Trump has done for the African-American community, with homeownership being at an all-time high, unemployment in black families being at an all-time low. The list goes on and on. Even the improvements in our inner city economics that are benefiting minority families. The list goes on. But the point of the matter is that Hillary, she will exit. It's not a question of if she's exiting. It's a question of how she's exiting. So you can either sort of embrace a legacy and exit gracefully, or you can exit like a petulant child that seems unhinged to the American public and only further damages a party that's already in complete disarray. Seems that she's choosing the latter.
I want to move on to Jim Comey, because he's out humping a book. And he's out swinging, the former FBI director, blasting President Trump in his new tell-all book, A Higher Loyalty, saying, quote, transactional, ego-driven, and about personal loyalty, unethical and untethered to truth and institutional values. That is on President Trump. Quote, I have one perspective on the behavior I saw. While disturbing and violating basic norms of ethical leadership, may fall short of being illegal. Dr. Gina, your take on this, because I can go through a list of how Jim Comey behaved when he was a prosecutor here in New York, when he was in terms of unethical behavior. And Gina, I want your take on this first.
Yeah, he perhaps should be sitting in a prison somewhere instead of out hawking his book. But, you know, this is classical psychological projection, Dagan. The way that he gets into these physical insults against the president and stuff is the sign of a very jealous, very disturbed, very small man, frankly, regardless of his size that he seems to want to brag about. And I think, you know, you look at him and you see somebody who is just not secure at all with who they are or where they are. And frankly, he demonstrates for us his bias that is evidence of everything that conservatives and the president have been saying all along about a witch hunt executed by him.
Adrienne, here's where I find it interesting, the reaction among Democrats and liberals to Jim Comey. He hates President Trump so much, and that kind of dovetails with the way people on the left feel about President Trump. But he's responsible for that press conference that essentially, when he came out right before the election and said, this investigation of Hillary Clinton's email server is not over, and then he turns around and rescinds that so close to the election. Why is he also not the enemy of the left?
Well, you know, I think to an extent he is. And you know, those of us who were on the campaign and those of us who are those supporters of Hillary Clinton during the campaign, I think we all have a lot of mixed feelings about James Comey, because on the one hand, I think that he overreached his position as the FBI director during the email investigation, of course, especially in speaking in July of 2016, giving quite a few opinions, if you will, during that 15-minute soliloquy that he gave before he then said that Hillary Clinton is exonerated, and then, of course, reopening the investigation. But then on the back end, I also don't think that President Trump was right in firing him for the reasons that he said he fired him. So there's a lot of mixed feelings there. I haven't read the book. I guess we'll see more about what he has to say about all of this when the book comes out.
A lot of it, some of the experts, real quick, Adrienne, are petty. They're just petty comments about the president's appearance, and people criticize the president for for him being raw in his language. And again, I assume that Jim Comey thinks turnaround is fair play. But I will just point to Frank Quattrone in terms of prosecutorial zeal from Jim Comey. Frank Quattrone was pursued by Jim Comey. He was ultimately exonerated. And I want to point out, Frank Quattrone, he was an investment banker years ago. He launched the Fair Administration of Justice program at the University of Pennsylvania from a $15 million gift from the banker. So I think that kind of speaks to how Jim Comey conducted himself even before he was the FBI director. Ladies, it was great to see you both. Thank you so much for being here. Adrienne, Elrod,
thanks,
Gina Loudon.